When graphing linear inequalities, we are going to use what we learned back in Chapter 4 on graphing lines to graph the linear inequalities. There's a few slight differences, and really the main thing is that when graphing linear inequalities, the line might be part of your answer and it might not be part of your answer. And when we look at that, what I'm talking about is we have sets of symbols. We have greater than and less than. When you have greater than or less than symbols, the actual equation to your line will not be part of the answer. So you are going to be using a dashed line when you're graphing. When you have greater than and equal to and less than and equal to, you're going to be using a solid line because the line is part of the answer. You're graphing linear inequalities in two variables. We're going to do 3 examples for you here, and then you can see at the bottom we're going to have for you to try. In the first equation, I have x minus y is less than or equal to 2. I have to graph this, and I'm going to, I could use a table of values, but I'm going to use the slope-intercept method, and I'm going to solve for y. So in this equation, when I'm solving for y, I have to get y by itself, so I'm going to take a negative x to both sides of the equation, and I'm going to have a negative y, or inequality I should say. I'm going to have a negative y is less than or equal to a negative x plus 2. Now, because I still have a negative y, I'm going to multiply on both sides of this equation by a negative 1. Now, one of the key things here again is I'm multiplying an inequality by a negative 1 on both sides, so I have to remember to flip the inequality. So my equation for my inequality is y is greater than or equal to x minus 2. So I'm going to graph y is greater than or equal to x minus 2 on a coordinate plane. We're going to graph the inequality y is greater than or equal to x minus 2. We've already solved that. Now we're going to, just like we did in Chapter 4, we're going to use slope-intercept form to graph. All right, so our y-intercept is negative 2. So we're going to find on our graph at negative 2, we're going to put a dot. All right. Then our slope, which is 1 over 1, all right, is 1 over 1. It's a positive slope, so we're going to go up 1 over 1 from the y-intercept, up 1 over 1, and there we have our graph. Now, because it's an inequality, there's multiple answers, and because it's greater than or equal to, you are going to draw a solid line. If it was just greater than, we would draw a dashed line because it does not include the numbers along. We'll draw our graph with a solid line. Okay. Now we're going to need to shade because it's an inequality, and in this case it includes all the numbers on the line. We're going to shade either above or below the line. Now typically how you do this is if it's greater than, typically it's going to be above the line. If it's less than, it's going to be below the line. But to make sure that it's going to work, we need to pick a point. And probably the easiest point to pick is 0, 0. So we're going to see if 0, 0 makes this equation true. So when I make 0 is greater than or equal to 0 minus 2, is that true? And the answer is yes. And if that's the case, the shading then will be above. All right, you'll shade above the line. So all these answers from the line above will satisfy y is x minus. The second example of a graph that we're going to do is x is greater than 1. Now this is a special situation. This is a vertical line, and because we have the greater than symbol, all right, we are going to use a dashed line. So we go to 1 on our x-intercept and we put our dot. All right. Then we'll take our ruler, all right, and we're going to draw a vertical line with vertical dashed lines. We're going to put dashes because it does not include 1. It includes everything greater than 1. So we have our dashed line. All right, and basically, again, it's greater than, so anything above 1 is going to satisfy it. So if I put 2 in there, is 2 greater than 1? And the answer is yes. So the shading will be above that vertical line. graph is y is greater than or equal to 3. Again, this is a special situation. We have a horizontal line with a slope of 0, a y-intercept of 3. So again, you put your dot at 3. Because it's greater than or equal to, we will have a solid line going through your y-intercept of 3. So we draw our solid line. Now in these situations, it says that y is greater than or equal to 3. So if I pick a number greater than that line, like 4, it will make it true. So my shading for this line is above the line because it's greater. So I will shade it in. All right. Now with me using these markers, you're shading. With you having pencil, you can shade a lot more than what I'm showing here, but you can shade a greater deal. Now, after you've seen these 3 examples, what I want you to try is back on the originally part of the video, I want you to try to graph 4x plus 5y is less than or equal to 12. You need to solve for y, graph the line, and then shade